This conference will
First thing
now
on the
be
agenda is
recorded.
invocation, and that is with Kirk Lawton. Good evening, sir.
Would you join me as we pray together, please? Oh God, we begin this meeting this evening with a prayer of thanks that we have a God who is always ready to listen to us as we pray. You're more ready to listen than we're sometimes ready to pray. Lord, you've taught us to love truth and goodness and beauty. May your truth make us free. May your goodness be more than just something we desire, but may it be found in our lives. And we also pray, Father, that the beauty of our Lord may be seen in us. Teach us, we pray, to know how to differ without anger, to respect the feelings of others more than our own rights, and the rights of others more than our own personal feelings. We do invoke your blessings upon this meeting tonight, asking that those who gather here may have divine wisdom to make decisions which will not only be best for our community, but also those decisions which will be in keeping with your will. And so, Heavenly Father, we pray that we may be done with lesser things. We may give heart and mind and soul and strength to serve the King of Kings. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. All right, the next thing will be public comments, and these are public comments relating to agenda items only. Do we have any public comments this evening? Okay, the next thing is motions relating to the agenda. And I'd like to make a motion that we add on to the agenda a brief explanation from the fire chief on what went on Friday so that the residents can know that.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion before we vote on it? Mr. Stamey?
Yes.
Holder?
Yes.
Keating?
Yes.
Grecklaw?
Yes.
Kinkin?
Yes.
Drake?
Yes.
And myself is yes, so that passed unanimously. And we will add that on to the discussion part of our agenda tonight. Next thing is the minutes approval for July 12th, 2022.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve July 12th, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Does anybody have any questions or comments before we vote on that? Mr. Stamey?
Yes.
Holder?
Yes.
Keating?
Yes.
Grecklaw?
Yes.
Kinkin?
Yes.
Drake?
Yes.
And myself is yes also. So that passed unanimously. Next thing is communications. Lanier's monthly report.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good, how are you doing?
Right.
Just checking, make sure it's on.
Yep.
Okay, I briefed everybody, I gave everybody a sample so you guys could actually look at this before I walked up to the mic, so if you had any questions. Start out, the first part, we're comparing June 21 to June 22, the first 2 pages. And then the last 2 pages I wanted to give you, since we are in the middle of the year, a half-year comparison of where we were compared to 21, so you could get a good analysis of what's going on with the parking. To start with, the budget. Budget was a little lower. Last year we had a predominantly good year, but as everybody knew last year, all the way up and down the Grand Strand, it was sort of an anomaly with how many tourists were down here, and et cetera. And so the budget was based about 20% below the number because I didn't think we would hit it. That was one of those things. We ended up doing $88,986.03 in parking revenue. Violation was $2749.50 for a total of $91,735.53, which is 42% over the budget, or $27,000. I compare it right below there with what we did in 2021. We did $77,948 last year. pretty much the same in violation revenue, just the incremental increase was in the pay station revenue. Variance to 21, 13,786.71, which is an 18% growth over prior year. The box right down there below that, I went back to 2017, which is 2017 to 2021. The 5-year average, including violation revenue, 80,497. So we were 11,238 above that, or roughly 14%. Revenue breakdown. I stood up here a couple months ago as we were implementing the Text to Park, the new mobile app for payment. If you look in the first 2 rows under revenue of June 22, Text to Park did 21,240. Park Mobile did 9,230. So we did roughly $30,470 in mobile payment, where last year mobile payments averaged $56.15. So real incremental growth in revenue with that. Pay station revenue is going to be down a little bit to last year. Last year we did 65. This year we did 58, but it was made up with the difference in the mobile app payments. Did 16,700 transactions this year for an average transaction fee of $5.33, where last year we did 15,810 transactions for an average of $4.74. So that's some of the growth in there. Next dial down from that is our cash and credit out of the pay stations, because we have 11 of them in service in the city. Cash dropped from last year roughly $2,500. Credit dropped about $4,000, but it was made up with the Park Mobile and Text to Park payments. Again, average pay station breakdown, people were averaging $396 in cash and $566 in credit when they were paying that way, for a total average of $516. Last year, that average was up a little bit to $545. Didn't do as much revenue, didn't have all the options to pay that we did this year. Again, Text to Park, always text the customer when they pay, 15 minutes before their time expires, would you like to extend it? And that's why if you look back at the Text to Park, it averaged $6.09 a transaction. So the customer can either say yes or no to that. Violation revenue in June, $2,749.50. Issued 398 tickets, 37 were voided, so we had 361 valid tickets. And 29 notice letters were sent out by our violation revenue company. That's the ones that are 60 days past due, have not paid for their ticket. They send them a letter. That was the first letter. Now, here's the thing. We implemented in June, and part of the June revenue increase was we started the golf cart parking on the very bottom there. In Park Mobile, we did $246.40 with 35 transactions on the beach accesses. Text to Park, we did $5,154 with 751 transactions. If you add those together, $6.87 a transaction for anybody parking a golf cart on the beach accesses. So that's sort of the breakdown. And there wasn't we didn't write a lot of tickets in June for that, because it was trying to be a learning curve. And I know City Hall heard a lot of, hey, we don't want to be paying to park there. So, but compliance was pretty good for this, and it's even better in July. So just to give you an idea of that. Comparison to parking revenue, I just wanted to give you guys a snapshot of where we were last year compared to this year from January through June. 2021, we did 196,733. And in 22 right now, we're at $222,132.99, which is an increase of 12.91% over prior year. And that includes, if you look up in 21, the meter revenue on the top left was the coin operated meters that were in the value lot, 16th North and 4th North. So they were taken out. And then the Text to Park and Park Mobile payments, last year it was the Park Mobile payments and the pay station were under pay station revenue on that line. This year, Text to Park, Park Mobile, and pay station are all reported under the pay station revenue line. So we did a difference of $25,399.48 for a 12.91% increase. Average transaction in 2021, we did 40,747. For the entire year, average $4.83. And in 22, we've done 42,980 for an average of $5.17, which is plus 34 cents or 7%. Now you had a chance to look at it. Anybody got any questions?
Mr. Mayor, two questions. What are some examples of why tickets would be voided?
Okay, if someone gets a ticket and does not put their receipt in the window, okay, or here especially if you have a lot of golf carts, ticket blows off, or they put their ticket in their little cubby hole, or they'll put it on their dash, shut the car, leave the window down so it doesn't get hot. Wind blows the ticket off. Paid either by Park Mobile or text to park. Not a lot of people, if we look at the plate and you don't put the plate exactly in as your license plate when you're paying, it would be different. Could be 1 digit off, 2 digits off, and they'll issue a ticket, and then they have to prove to us that they did pay, send us a text message with their payment, and it's paid. So if it was paid, then we void the ticket. That leads me to something new we've been working on with Clancy, and it's going to make our enforcement officers a lot more efficient in the field. Right now, if our guys walk up to a car to issue a ticket, it's between 7 and 8 minutes. They have to look, make sure there's not a receipt on the dash. Then they have to look up Park Mobile's website or Text to Park's website to make sure that their license plate is in there. And then once they start that, if it's not there, then they have to actually populate everything. Make, model, color of car, license plate. So they have to do all this manually. Started on August 1st. We're working with Clancy, who is your violation company, who runs all our violations. They'll go up to the back of the car, take a picture of the license plate, and within 5 seconds, it populates our officer's phone with license plate, color, make, model of car, and it's integrated with Park Mobile and Text to Park, so it'll automatically tell them whether they're paid or not. Unless we have somebody that doesn't enter their license plate right, and we still may have that. But our labor is still the same because we have a volume of people. It's going to make our officers more efficient in the field and take human error out of the citation side. That's going to start. They're going to download everything to us, no cost to you at all. It's just technology that's run on our phones right now. Take a picture of the plate. It takes less than 2 minutes to write a ticket once it's all done. So hopefully that will go well, but we're starting that on Monday also. Okay. So you'll hear LPR, license plate recognition. It's a form of that, but the way you guys, the city is set up, it's so hard to do it in a vehicle. You can't do it in a golf cart. They're also going to take the blue South Carolina registration sticker, which is a license plate for a golf cart, and are going to implement that into our systems. He says he can do it. I didn't know. I'm still checking, but we'll know next week. So that way they'll just go up and take a picture of the South Carolina registration, and it'll automatically populate.
What about an LSV tag?
LSV tag?
Low speed vehicle for a golf cart that has a license plate.
It's got a license plate and it's in the DMV. It doesn't, the system does not coordinate with the DMV. It doesn't talk to it. It's an automatic brain system that knows it, and it will take a picture of it, but it will not populate. It won't tell you what kind of vehicle it is, but it will tell you whether it's paid on Park Mobile or Text to Park. And our officers will still have to check to see that they have a receipt. And the problem with low-speed vehicles or golf carts down here, especially this time of year, the wind's really blowing hard. It's hard to put a receipt anywhere on the golf cart. And if you put a paid receipt on somebody's windshield or on their steering wheel, like if you have an old golf cart, somebody goes, "Hey, they paid. Great, thanks." So that's the hard part. And that's why we do get some voids and some other things. So.
Mr. Mayor, the other thing I have a question on is on the golf cart parking area.
Mm-hmm.
Had a lot of good feedback from residents
Mm-hmm.
that are very happy that when they go down to the beach, they actually got a place to park,
Yes, sir.
and it's not so congested down there now.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
That was why it was about control, right?
Exactly. And the amount of tickets, you said you weren't writing that many tickets to begin with, and starting in July you have, or?
We've wrote more. I mean, we issued 300, I don't know the exact amount right off without looking at it. 361 valid tickets.
Mhm.
And I think in May, I think we wrote 183 in the entire town. So we did write some,
Okay.
but we didn't, the first 2 weeks this was implemented and we heard that there was a lot of,
Yeah.
stuff down there. So we tried to get in there and educate people. And that was, I mean, our job as enforcement officers are still to be ambassadors to your visitors to your town.
Mhm.
And that's what we tried to do. We're still
Right.
doing that.
Right.
But, every week now we're getting another turnover and people that weren't here when it first started, and there's been a little bit more compliance.
Okay.
I mean, we're having a really good July considering the tourist numbers up and down the Grand Strand. I've heard they're down, I've heard they're up, looking at tourist numbers of the other areas that I run, they're down and we're up.
Mhm.
So down here. So we're having a good occupancy at your houses or whatever it is.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, my other question was, do you ever do any kind of density evaluation or supply and demand of, what the actual parking needs of the town may be? Like,
We have that capability of doing it, but that would be sort of out of my jurisdiction and above. Are you talking about like building a parking deck or something
well,
like
just
that?
doing the evaluation of, where is that trigger point? How close are we to needing to actually make a big decision about parking? Are we close to capacity 5% of the time or 80% of the time?
When I rode
those
through
kind
the
of
town,
decision
and I
points.
rode through town tonight before the meeting, you're close. And this is Tuesday night at 6:00. Tuesday morning last week at 11:00, I didn't see any spaces driving up and down through the town. I mean, we try to work with towns. I know building a parking deck is in the neighborhood of $40,000 to $50,000 a space, especially as you build it up. It's expensive. I know other towns that we've run have looked into shuttle services. Parking here and shuttling. Like I think the parking committee's had a little bit. They had some ideas about that. You're in the prime of summer, July being the busiest month. I would say you're close to 100% capacity. It's always our biggest month revenue-wise. And August is going to decline some, just like June. We call those the shoulder season, and it always peaks in July. So, yeah,
but I guess
think there's, especially weekends
Mhm.
and weather. I mean, weather has a big draw. If it's sunny like it was today, it's packed. With the first 15 days of July, we had either rain in the morning or rain in the afternoon. I know you guys got quite a bit
Right.
down here, more compared to the north end of the beach.
But I think if we extrapolate that out and we do the evaluation across the year,
Mhm.
yeah, we all know June through August is a much more popular
Mhm.
time, but we can't make knee-jerk reactions just based on 3 months out of a 12-month
That's
year. So, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm purporting to, be building a parking deck. I just want to make sure that when we're looking at solving what we feel are parking problems, that we've actually defined the problem correctly so that we reach the optimal solution.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of evaluation of parking density and duration. Is it just a certain period of the day, just certain months of the year?
Right.
That will lead us into defining the problem differently. That will give us a different optimal solution.
Right, yeah, because if you looked at your entire year, utilization of every parking spot everywhere throughout the year, it may only be 50%. But in your peak season, you may be at 98%, or you may be at 115 or 120. And what I mean by that is you have somebody come to the beach from 8 to 12, turn over, and somebody else takes that spot immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you may turn your parking lot sometimes 3 times, depending on how long people are staying at the beach and where they're parked. Somebody could be going to Yopon to go to a restaurant for 2 hours as compared to a beach access where they're there for 7. And you're going to have some turnaround. But yeah, we could, we absolutely could do that. And that's basically going down and doing some car counts.
Well, I think it would be worth at least starting that discussion about, what you can do and what kind of data that gives you and what purpose it serves. And,
Mhm.
you know,
Oh,
just,
it definitely would help.
just starts that conversation.
Our officers that are on the street probably already have that in their head
Mhm.
enough. You know, Chuck is our operating manager sitting back there. He's been down here a bunch. I've been down here a bunch. And it just depends on the day, depends on the weather. But you have to look, you have to plan on July and June is going to be good weather.
Right.
Just because we've had a rainy month doesn't mean next year and the year after isn't going to be sunny and 90. And everybody's coming to the beach.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Steve,
Yes, sir.
Mayor, I'm surprised that it's not longer. You know, it looks like 3.5 hours is the average time. I would have thought it'd been longer than that.
Yeah, and what it is you may have somebody with that average. You may have somebody go down and pay for the entire day, and you may have somebody go down there and walk in the morning for 2 hours, and you take that $10 and two, and it averages $6.
Yeah.
So, but that's sort of the average. I'll have better data for you next month
Okay.
because it's a full month of after we've implemented, and then tourists have flipped 4 or 5 times during the weeks. So I'll have better average for you next week, hopefully, or next month.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
It only takes 3 hours to get burned.
Not if you go 11.
All right, the next thing on the agenda is the police monthly report by Chief Hoffman. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, and citizens. I've got some exciting monthly reports for you. I'm going to cover April, May, and June to get caught up. In April of this year, and one thing I'll mention before I go into these for Mayor, Council, and also for our citizens is you're going to notice as I go through each month, we're seeing increases in almost all categories. So I'll touch on that just a little bit. In April of this year, we had a 12.1% increase in calls for service from April of last year, from 1,661 to 1,862 calls. Arrest and citation data during that same period shows a 79.18% increase from 245 to 439. And just for everybody's sake, that number is generated from a combination of citations, uniform traffic citations, ordinance summons that are issued, the number of actual custodial arrests, and the number of warrants that are issued. So that's sort of a combination of charging documents that are issued by the police department during that month. So, and I see a typo in there, it should read from 21 to 22, but so just in April, went from 245 charges to 439. In that same month of April, Corporal Pinto and K9 SIF did 21 hours of training. They had 13 deployments that resulted in 2 custodial arrests and seizure of heroin, marijuana, Schedule 1, some scheduled drugs, paraphernalia, and they seized 1 illegal firearm. In summary, in the month of April, the police department answered 1,862 calls for service that resulted in 41 custodial arrests, 384 citations, and 14 criminal arrest warrants. 4 of those warrants were for drug-related charges. We transported 15 prisoners to J. Reuben Long Detention Center and 22 prisoners to the Myrtle Beach Police Department, and we issued 226 written warnings in that month in lieu of traffic citations. Just a couple of notable events from April. I know it seems like a long time ago, but the police department assisted with the Easter egg hunt at Huckabee Park. And also in April, I was able to utilize the military surplus 1033 program that I appreciate you authorizing to acquire a surplus trailer mounted generator. That generator has an original value of about $60,000 through the military at no charge to the taxpayers. That generator is going to be retrofitted to be able to power our IT equipment that is housed at Town Hall right now, which will also, as a side benefit, power Town Hall in the event of a catastrophic incident or a power loss during a hurricane or something. But its primary purpose is to keep our servers going if power goes out at Town Hall. So hopefully that'll benefit the taxpayers by keeping us from having to purchase a generator for the Town Hall right now. Moving into May, we had a 92.53% increase in calls for service from May of last year. We went from 1,795 to 3,456 calls for service in that month. And in that same month, we had a 66.60 increase in charges from 524 to 873. A couple of personnel actions that we had in the month of May. We picked up 2 new police officers. Officer Nick Sale joined us as a certified officer from an area agency, and also Officer Bill Rutterow joined us as a certified officer from an area agency. Officer Rutterow joins us here tonight in the back of the room. He's waving and smiling. I'm sure he appreciates me calling him out. So if you get a chance, welcome him to town. Both of these officers, we were able to recruit them with the generous salary and benefits that you guys offer. So I appreciate that very much, and we're glad to have him, and I hope he's as glad to be here as we are to have him here. In the month of May, Corporal Pinto and K9 SIF had 20 hours of training. They had 17 deployments that resulted in 5 custodial arrests. They seized heroin, crack cocaine, methamphetamine, ecstasy, psilocybin, mushrooms, marijuana, some scheduled drugs, paraphernalia, and they also seized another firearm. In the month of May, we had 3,456 calls for service that resulted in 66 custodial arrests, 757 citations, and 50 criminal arrest warrants were issued by either our officers or our investigators. 18 of those charges were related. 18 of those warrants were related to drug possession or distribution. We transported 16 prisoners to J. Reuben Long Detention Center, and we took 44 prisoners to the Myrtle Beach Police Department. Hopefully everyone can see what an advantage it is for us to have that agreement with the city of Myrtle Beach. That would have been 44 trips to J. Reuben Long Detention Center, which would have been a significant impact on our staffing ability during the busy month of May. In the month of May, we also issued 464 written warnings in lieu of traffic citations. In May, we assisted with numerous community and bike-related events. Officers assisted with Memorial Day celebration to include escorting the golf cart parade. Spring bike rally and Memorial Day bike week events necessitated our officers to work numerous overtime details, and the department was at all hands staffing from Thursday, May 26th through Monday, May 30th. Moving into the month of June, we had a 57.22% increase in calls for service, going from 1,968 to 3,094 calls. Arrest and citation data in that month also was a 94.44% increase from 216 to 420 criminal charges. Some personnel actions that we had we're excited about. Officer Matthew Carl was promoted to the rank of Patrolman First Class. Patrolman First Class Michael Bishop was promoted to the rank of Police Corporal. Police Officer Kerry Elwanger was promoted to the rank of Police Corporal. Officer Paul Regan, which was a new officer to us who came to us with over 20 years of experience, was promoted to the rank of Criminal Investigator at the Police Corporal rank. And unfortunately, we did lose our part-time records clerk, Vicki Cummins, who resigned to move out of state. She was an amazing employee, and she really did a great job with our FOIA records, records requests, Brady motions, and a lot of just things that the community needs in regards to records. We have filled that position, but we wish her the very best in her future endeavors. She moved across the country. In the month of June, Officer Pinto and K9 SIF were busy with 21 hours of training. They had 5 deployments with 1 positive alert that resulted in 1 custodial arrest, and they seized methamphetamine, heroin, and drug paraphernalia. In summary, in the month of June, we answered 3,094 calls for service that resulted in 51 custodial arrests, 343 citations, 26 criminal arrest warrants. 5 of those were for drugs. We took 22 prisoners to J. Reuben Long and 25 prisoners to the Myrtle Beach Police Department, and we issued 176 written warnings in lieu of uniform traffic citations. That is the summary for April, May, and June. I tried to go really fast so Chief Clemens will have more time to talk.
I just have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
How do you decide who goes to J. Reuben as opposed to who goes to Myrtle Beach? Are the J. Reubens a long-term people that you know are going to be staying there and whatever? How does that work?
Well, we always try to go to Myrtle Beach if we can help it. However, because they're being very good neighbors to us, we're very careful about who we take to them. So they would appreciate it if we didn't bring anybody who's been involved in a car accident or is grossly intoxicated or belligerent or been arrested for breach of peace, things like that. J. Reuben Long is much better suited to handle rowdy prisoners or problematic prisoners. So if we can, we take them to Myrtle Beach, but if it necessitates a little more strict booking arrangement, then we take them straight to J. Reuben. And sometimes Myrtle Beach is really busy, and they are not taking prisoners, which we understand as well, particularly on the weekends in the summertime. So,
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Kenny.
yes, sir.
How's the new golf cart working out for you? Is it helping out, or is it?
Yes, sir. And actually, I apologize. I meant to have it here tonight. Man, we're using that thing like crazy. We got the low-speed vehicle picked up. We've got it licensed, and we've got it outfitted with blue lights and siren, and it is out every night. It is working fireworks patrol to help keep an eye on fireworks, and in light of some recent larcenies that we've been seeing in the R3 district, officers have been using it in the early morning hours to patrol the back streets in there. So it has come in very handy for our operations. And in the earlier evening hours, it's being utilized in the E-District area to create a good police presence down there. So it's working out really well. Yes, sir. Thank you.
It led the parade very nicely in July.
I'm glad to hear that. And we plan to use it in every parade. So I appreciate the council allowing us to acquire that. I think it'll be a really good thing to help us with our community policing and to be effective in certain patrol situations where it's just helpful to have an officer not in a car.
Well, I know when I've been down there at night, it'll sneak up on you really quick.
It will. It sure will. And it's black. That's weird. I don't know how that happened. So, but
We had to put your helicopter on hold.
we did put the helicopter on hold because we wanted to get the generator, but I'm still searching. I go into the system and I type in helicopter. So when one pops up, I'll let you know.
Mr. Mayor, Kenny, how does the cameras doing good for you?
Yes, sir, they are. And this unfortunate case that we had recently, if you had not authorized the deployment of the camera expansion, we would not have a suspect in that case. The cameras did it all. And with the help of the community and the pictures that we were able to get from that was key and very instrumental in identifying a really bad person who came into our community and victimized someone in our community. So I feel like the cameras, we wouldn't have closed that case right now, I don't think, without the help of cameras. So they're working really well. We're still working out the bugs because it was a big system to deploy. And again, I always invite anybody to come by and check it out because I got them in my office and I love to show them off. So but thank you. It's working out really well, and we hope to continue an expansion moving forward. I've had some conversations with yourself and the mayor as well, that we'd love to see that system expand into some of our parks
and recreation areas.
Our public spaces to help with that. They're a great deterrent. This particular expansion was really focused on our golf cart beach accesses and in those areas and along Ocean Boulevard. But whenever council's ready, we can bring that into the residential area and also to the commercial area and up on the highway. And the benefit, it's a force multiplier for us.
Right.
That is worth every penny, in my opinion.
I agree.
Thank you.
Very good.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
how's your staffing level?
Well, we're doing okay. We're doing a lot better than other agencies. We have 2 open police officer positions. I have a conditional offer out right now for one of those positions, and we are putting 2 more or 3 candidates actually through the first phase of the hiring process tomorrow. And I have another candidate interview at 1:00 tomorrow. So I do believe we'll have those positions filled very soon. We do have some communications positions that we need to get filled as well. So I feel like it's very optimistic that we're going to have some good candidates in place. So
Good luck with that.
thank you, and I appreciate it. And that's due to the resources that you provided. So
Mr. Mayor, how about the fireworks? You mentioned that. What are we seeing from the reaction to our fireworks?
So that's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up. We're still seeing a lot of complaints come in about the noise from the fireworks, but when the officers get down there, the lion's share of what we're seeing is fireworks that are at our northern and southern boundaries, just in the unincorporated areas of the county. But we are seeing some fireworks. I'd love to get some community feedback, and maybe you're hearing something. Is it better? Is it the same? We are issuing summonses, so there are some people that are getting citations for the fireworks. I believe Chief Clemens might be able to help with this. I'm told that we had some fireworks in the last couple of weeks that set some sea oats on fire here in town.
Said some what?
Set the sea oats.
The sea oats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on fire. I think it's important that we continue to hold the line on the fireworks to keep it under control. But we have issued some summons, we have issued some warnings, but mostly what we see is still some fireworks in the unincorporated area. And we just encourage the citizens, if they hear some fireworks, and whether they know where they are or not, like, call and let us know. Because while the officers are working on other things during this busy time, that will get a call-in queue so an officer can get down to that area. And we have some officers working some overtime details in the evening that are directed at getting down onto those quality of life issues to bring some relief to the residents.
Do we need to publicize that more? Do we need to put it out more, get it out to people that's coming in, that we don't allow fireworks? Are we having that problem that some of the people are saying, well, we don't know it?
Yeah,
Is
that's always a good idea, and I hadn't thought about that. Perhaps with the turnover, we could try to push something out a little more often, maybe particularly on Saturday or Sunday, what we call training day, and that we could get it. I haven't gotten any complaints from anyone that they didn't know. I did get a complaint from one person who got a citation, and I went back and watched the video, but they clearly said that they saw on the sign it said no fireworks, but they wanted to.
paid the ticket?
There it is. But I would love, if you get some feedback, please let me know if citizens are seeing relief from some of the noise from the fireworks, so we'll know if we need to change direction.
What is the citation you're issuing?
It is for violation of the fireworks
How
ordinance. I think they are writing that for, it's either 128 or 252. Any
Okay.
other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
And next we have the finance report by Director King. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. This would be the report for June. We finished another fiscal year, but we're not quite finished yet. We can book revenue all the way into 60 days from June. So if the money comes in the next couple of weeks or next month, we can still put it back to June. And we have not received our money from Santee Cooper, from HTC, Charter, or the state of South Carolina owes us quite a bit of money for aid to federal, to local governments, et cetera, et cetera. But it should be coming. A-tax hasn't come yet. For this year, our expenses in general fund do exceed the revenue by 1.1 million, but that would be called 210 Highway 17 South would be the 1.1 million. The building we bought is just about why we have the loss. There were 32 new business licenses opened in June. 8 of them were new businesses, 9 were rentals. One was one new contractor, which was surprising. There was only one. It was just mostly renewals. And 14 out-of-town businesses, which would be for the 2 markets. Accommodations, hospitality, and local A-tax funds. We should be getting the A-tax money any day now. Hospitality, we got 2.7 million year to date. Local A-tax, we got 550,000, and we will get money in June, which is in July, which is for June, so we can go back and get that money again. Capital projects received 325,000 from the Community Transportation Commission, and we expect the road fees from Horry County to start again in July. We're a whole year without getting any road fees, but they expect to start them again in July. Engineering work has begun in the second phase of the drainage project for the Stormwater Utility Fund. We did receive the $500,000 grant from SCRIA for the Dogwood Swash project, so we got almost all of that paid for.
Good.
In the pier fund, piers generated 6.8 million in revenue from FEMA. We are out of FEMA money, but I'll get to that in a minute. Expenses total 6.7 million. Sanitation fund, we took in 1.6 million, we spent 1.4, so it has a slight profit. Linear, as Steve told you, he goes on a calendar year, we go on a fiscal year, which is June to July. We've gotten 470,000 year to date. The net revenue is 221. There should be a little bit of cleanup things, which we probably will book in the next couple of weeks. The audit will start at the end of August, and that will close out this fiscal year. If you turn to the second page on the pier, excuse me, we've made payments 21 and 22 to consensus, and so far we've paid them 10,045,000, which would be the last column there on the right. The consensus to complete, the amount to complete is 4,750,000. If you go by the revenue or by the expenses, they are 70% complete as far as their bill. Whether the construction is 70% complete, I wouldn't know. Total cost to date, we spent 12,230,000. And if you look at how it's broken out between the pier and the building over to the right, 10,600,000 on the pier, 1,400,000 on the buildings, $12 million in total, plus 110,000 in interest. So we spent 12,230,000. The FEMA grant is 9,947,000. I've put the last reimbursement in, so there will be, after they pay us what they owe us, we will not be able to submit any more to FEMA. It will all come out of the money that we have on hand from their reimbursements, plus the $4 million. So we have 18,900,000 that we believe we'll be able to spend, plus we believe there's another $1 million coming from the state, which I have not put in here because they haven't sent us any paperwork. And if you go all the way down to the bottom right-hand corner, the estimated cost for the pier at this point is 18,179,000, but of course there's a lot of things we don't know. So we'd have to update that as we go. If you look at the rest of the report, you see I've circled a bunch of things that we're still waiting for money to come in on. We've exceeded what we budgeted for property taxes for this year. Business licenses and permits are way higher than they've ever been in any of the years I've been here. 902,000 in licenses, 274 in permits. So we've had a record year as far as that goes. Police fines are also higher than they have ever been. If you keep going, the things I circled in the left-hand column are things we're waiting for. So you go to the next page, which would be page 3. Your little note in the bottom, we've exceeded prior years in taxes, business licenses, permits, court fines, and parking. And to be received so far to meet the rest of this year, as I said before, Santee Cooper Charter and the ATAX. But we have right now, all the departments we're still booking some expenses for all of them as things, capital purchases are coming in, so none of their numbers are totally final yet. So the net right now is for general fund is a loss of 1,117,000. Sanitation's net is a profit of $200,000. We have not booked depreciation yet though, so that will be a non-cash charge, but it's still a charge that goes through the accounting records. For accommodations pack, we haven't received our last payment yet. We would also have to pay the Myrtle Beach Chamber out of that and pay the general fund out of that money. So I expect that to come in this week. But you will note that we've gotten in, and ATAX is usually a question you ask me, we've gotten in $663,000 this year already, and the budget was only $625,000. So we have always made the budget, and that's why we pay it even though we don't have it. You pretty well can predict what tourists are going to pay if they don't stop coming, which we don't see any fear of that. So right now the net in ATAX is a loss of $112,000. Hospitality, we still have another month to collect, and we collected $2,764,000. We thought we were going to get $2,700,000, so we still have one more month. We should do it right there. So we have a net profit of $41,000, so that will only go up. Local ATAX, we have a loss right now of $900,000 because we put so much money from local accommodations tax into the pier to pay for what the pier needed. In the stormwater fund, we have a net of $316,000, but we have finished paying for the dogwood swash out of that and gotten the $500,000 out of that. So that will be used next year for phase 2 or 3 of this. drainage project. And then in the capital projects fund, we have $8,000 net, and we have the road paving that was taken out of there for this year, $473,000. And that would be my report, if anybody has any questions. Overall, we're doing very well. We just got to see how it all shakes out in the end. Does anybody have any questions?
Good.
Oh, good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diana.
Thanks, Diane.
All right, the next thing on the agenda it's the stormwater project presentation. Director Adair. Good evening.
Mayor, council, and citizens. I was asked to come tonight to give an update on our stormwater project we have coming up. As Diana reported, our stormwater utility fund was just reimbursed $500,000, which we had received from a Rural Infrastructure Authority grant from the state. I got all the paperwork together, and the money was received by the town, I believe, last week. So that'll be used as part of the money for this upcoming project. So we have about $1 million in the fund right now. This fall's billing will go out, and we'll have $1.5 million about come late fall, and that's about what this project is going to cost. We are going to be installing underground drainage on 2nd Avenue North, from Poplar down to Myrtle Drive, in some cases both sides of the street, on 11th Avenue North, from Cherry down to Cedar, and a piece of Cherry also from 11th to 12th. We'll be drawing some water over to 11th. These are pretty much common flooding areas that we've identified as this project has been modeled over the years. Additionally, we're doing some of 14th Avenue North down on the bottom from about Magnolia Lake down to Ocean Boulevard. And there's been plenty of flooding issues over there also over the years. In some cases, there's some pipe in the ground in small sections. We'll be upsizing that. We're putting in approximately, I don't want to give it out yet because we're still doing some final modeling on it, and it's going up for permitting in the next week or so. But we're putting in about 67 new catch basins and all underground, probably 24-inch perforated pipe. We're going to infiltrate as much as we can for water quality, and so not to flood anybody downstream. So it's a good project. We'll bid it out in unit pricing, so each street will be individually priced from whoever bids on it. So if we have to cut one out due to budgetary reasons, we can do that. But I'm looking forward to it. Other than that, general stormwater, we're finishing up our year's catch basin cleaning. We've completed all 12 maps this year, which we only got about 75% last year due to COVID problems, as well as our ditch cleaning efforts. So our existing infrastructure is being maintained, and we have some new going in. And then we'll have to save up for a couple of years. With the stormwater utility fund takes in about $460,000, $470,000 a year. So once we accumulate a couple more years worth, we can look at planning for the next large project. And so I'm thankful for the foresight of council to approve the fund, because this is going to enable us to keep high and dry in the town. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Mayor, John, when you put in these drainage ditches, are these going to be drained into our ponds, or is it going to be drained into the ocean? Where are you draining this water off to?
The water in this project,
Yes, sir.
it'll be feeding into existing infrastructure.
Which will be our lakes.
Some of them will be lakes, and some will be, 2nd Avenue winds up down on Myrtle Drive, and then it makes a left and heads over to Holly Lake. But the purpose of doing the perforated pipe, the same as we did the last project in 2015, is each segment is infiltration pipe and deep well catch basins. So the goal is to have less water at the end of pipe than you had before construction. So we have all Class A and B soils in town, which is mostly sandy soils. So we take advantage of that when we're designing these projects to infiltrate as much water into the ground as possible. So at the end of a 96% of your rain events are 2 inches or less. So in your typical storm event, you'll have no discharge at the end of your pipe. The same thing we've done on Surfside Drive also, when we had those parking spaces, but all that's perforated pipe drainage. So you actually wind up with less discharge at the end of pipe than you had
So we're putting
beforehand.
we're putting it in the ground before it gets to the ponds.
That's right.
We're putting it
Yeah.
in the ground as it drains down.
Yeah, the water has to get into the pipe, and we put weir sections in certain segments of catch basins. We put weir sections in, so you have to accumulate a little bit of water in the upper section before it goes to the next section. So the goal being that it'll sink into the ground before it even makes it to the next section.
Okay.
So the Second Avenue run that winds up in Holly Lake will probably actually get less net water at the end of this than they had before we did the construction, because all that water before is just running over the surface downhill. The 14th Avenue water will wind up going to Ocean Boulevard, making a left over the 16th Avenue swash, and the 11th Avenue North project will go to Cedar and make a right into Elizabeth Lake. But again, the goal is always going to be
Drain it off before you.
we're cleaning it up, we're improving water quality, and we're getting it off the ground, the standing water, and we're reducing the possibility of flooding your neighbors downstream.
John, Mr. Mayor, John, the Third Avenue North, at Pinewood, Oak, or any of those streets in that area, down around the apartment complex at the end where it's always flooded.
Yes.
We've met down there before.
Mhm.
Is some of what you're talking about going to help that area get that water in that area some?
Well, there's nothing you can
Nothing
do
in the
to
world
help
to do
that. That area sits at the lowest point in town.
Okay. I didn't know if some of the stuff you're doing is going to.
Yeah, well, I'll explain it here that I have the opportunity, if you don't mind.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I've explained to some of those owners over there in the HOA over at the Hermitage complex, that area pretty much is the lowest part of town. If you go to the NOAA, National Oceanic people, they have a website, and they have a storm surge, they have an inundation tool on there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can basically plug in 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 feet of storm surge on top of a high tide, and it'll show you exactly what's going to flood in town. And if you plug in, once you get to about 4 feet of inundation, that area's underwater every single time. There's absolutely nothing that our stormwater system can do to change that.
The way you're doing these drains.
It's just the topography of town. It's like, you know, how parts of Garden City or North Myrtle Beach have their problems. That's that one little section from like Third, maybe a block either direction back to Oak.
Right.
That little around Myrtle Lake. That's the lowest spot in town.
Okay.
You know, it's really not. You know, that's why everybody has to elevate. That's the whole. You know, our construction.
Right.
Higher standards comes into play.
I got you. Okay. I just thought I'd ask.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Sure. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Appreciate it, John.
All right, the next thing, first thing under discussion is beach path mats by Adaptive Surf Project.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm Corinne Hellier, my cohort, Becky Johnson. A lot of familiar faces, but for any of us who haven't met us before, we're from Adaptive Surf Project. And a little background behind us. It started in 2014. We help people with disabilities access and go surfing at the beach. So we have worked with Surfside in the past. You have all new council members. We have not met some of you before, so we wanted to come up and say hello. We've been doing projects in Surfside since 2014, more so after 2015-16 when we got the ramp built on 13th Avenue South where the surf break is. Becky's husband, Brock, is our chapter president. He's a C4 quadriplegic who is competitive adaptive surfer. So for any of you guys who haven't seen it, we do have an event coming up in August. So we would love for you guys to come out and see some of the stuff that we do. It's August 13th. I know we would really love. We saw Bill came out last time, had a good old time.
At Third Avenue?
At 13th Avenue
13th
South.
Avenue North?
13th
South.
on 13th.
13th South.
13th South, okay.
13th South on the 13th. So a big part of what we do is getting people to the beach. So I started out with Surfrider. We were trying to figure out, protect the places that you love for environmental issues. And we learned a lot about what it takes to do installations. We found that you can't go past the dunes, which has sort of put a hindrance on some of the bigger projects that we wanted to do. But beach mats are a huge way to make it accessible for everyone. We worked with North Myrtle Beach during COVID in 2020. We were able to do 6 different locations. And so when we saw that you guys started one, we want to work with you guys to do that too.
Okay.
And we want to thank you for doing it all on your own because you saw the need. So that is huge to the adaptive community. And really made a lot of people feel really great and excited about.
I mean, I shared it because I got excited, but it's news that has spread far and wide. We have a lot of people who come to our events. Our last event was 55 surfers, 60 adaptive surfers. For every surfer, it's teams. It's 5 teams, 6 people. It takes literally an entire village to get these people out there. And we do a lot of temporary installations. We have like Lego matting basically that we build out, and then we have plywood. And the big part of our events is that we prevent a temporary solution, but it's an opportunity, if not temporary, for everyone to access the beach. And even when we built the ramp uh, at 13th South, even when we went to go do press coverage, we could barely get pictures of it because we had so many people, everyone from moms with children and carts,
Wagons.
elderly people with walkers, anybody with mobility issues. It was really great to see. So the more that we can do to make that accessible to everybody is really exciting.
Very good.
Mr.
Any
Mayor,
questions?
did you say you couldn't go beyond the dunes?
Right. In order to do installations beyond the dunes, you have to work with the Army Corps of Engineers. And I have tried in the past with other organizations to try to do environmental projects. We worked with John and Bear to do trying to recycle Christmas trees to reinforce the dunes. So we weren't going past them. We were literally helping create and reinforce them, and we still couldn't get permitting through. So we can go to the edge of the dunes, but everything past that needs to go through Army Corps of Engineer in order to be a permanent structure. So we've seen it in North Carolina where they've done large, it's essentially the same as what you have for the police access. It would need to be a large installation like that. We would love to do that. We don't have that money right now.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'd just like to make a statement. I love to mat on Third North because it does make it so much easier for our retired group to get to the beach. Not everybody's handicapped, but it does make it so much easier. And I wish we could do it a lot more places.
Mm-hmm. And we spoke a little bit. I know that there's a couple locations that you guys are interested in. So we definitely are interested sort of working out numbers and locations. We'd love to do as much as we can. I know we talked a little bit about a lump sum. It's a little high up front, but we definitely love to do fundraising with you guys, or with the town, with the town, to get corporate sponsors as well to put those things in and show everybody that it's a need.
And if you would be amiable to it, we could maybe have a small meeting. If there's a group that would be interested in learning more, we would be happy to come to the table for that and look at some of the options. Like Corey said, we did work with North Myrtle Beach to put the mats in, and we have folks that have volunteered to be the responsible party for those, because even though the city helped us install them and everything, the maintenance of them is, something that you have to continue. And so we would love to work with you guys on, if we do get them installed at other places, we know that there has to be a plan.
How are these mats different from what we have at Third North?
It's a different construction. Overall, it's the same. It's a roll-out mat with the pins that go in. The ones that you have like smaller segments. This one, the one we did in North Myrtle Beach, sort of looks similar to the flat matting you see at the pool. And the one you have is sort of has a little bit more of a Velcro texture, and then it has those ribs in it. So it's a different product. That's the other thing. We'd love to work with you on that because we did this Lego platform when we got started because it's temporary and we can pick it up and put it down. But the more you work with it, we've broken parts of our Lego and the snap pieces. We've done plywood. Plywood's great. Plywood's 50 times heavier when it's wet. So that's a learning process for us as well, as what works better to help everybody.
Plywood can also be a fall risk because it doesn't always match. So while we do use that for the temporary at the beach, because we have about 7 beach wheelchairs that our organization has purchased and or been granted, gifted But we bring all of those beach wheelchairs, but we don't have enough for everybody to stand. So most people have to get back in their wheelchairs. So it's important to have the plywood and the other surface so that they can sit in their regular wheelchair, because the beach wheelchairs have the beach chairs. Which brings me to the last thing that I wanted to say is that Adaptive Surf Project has made a commitment to put a beach wheelchair at every pier up and down the East Coast. We've got 2 so far, and we would like to bring one to Surfside as and if the
We'd
pier
like
would
to
be
have a
willing
pier.
to, would,
We get it.
we don't, it's free to
So we got a little time.
check it out, and or even a location that was willing, a city location that was on the beach or near the beach that would be willing to, let the people get it from there. We don't require any deposit, just their good faith.
Our mentality is that if you feel the need to take it home, you must have needed more than we did.
So just trying to spread the stoke up and down the Grand Strand, and we really appreciate how much Surfside has embraced the visions that we have, and we hope to see you all on the 13th if you can make it out.
Good deal.
Do you work with Spill Jackson at all?
We are all part of the surf community. So last weekend was Take a Kid Surfing, was originally a surf rider event. And then we took Take a Kid Surfing and we paired that with our Wheel to Surf, the event that's coming up. But the biggest thing that we ran into is, yes, we do have a lot of kids in our organization, but we service everybody. So we have a lot of injured vets. We have people who have temporary disabilities. We have people who have congenital, born that way, disabilities, people who had injury, and all disability is the one thing that does not discriminate. So we had a larger need for a bigger service. So we have split them up since, but when it comes to Spread the Stoke, we are all very good friends.
And a lot of our volunteers go to the Take a Kid Surfing days and volunteer at it, and we always consult the calendar so we don't conflict, so we don't want people to have to make a choice on which group that they're helping. And Phil just had us last weekend at his movie night. We came down and Adaptive Surf Project set up a tent and everything. So we partner with Phil, we partner with Village, we partner with.
And that was the big part, the Take a Kid Surfing. He also has started his Paralympic team that deals mostly with people who have intellectual disabilities. We have our adaptive team deals with people with mostly physical disabilities. So both of them went to Hawaii to go compete. Unfortunately, Brock couldn't go. He decided to break his leg while surfing here in Cherry Grove. How rude.
The Special Olympics was in Florida, and they went to Florida to the Typhoon Lagoon, I
wasn't
believe.
I thought it was
Yeah, it was
my
in
bad.
Florida. And they had the wave pool. But our very own Anthony Biondo won gold in surfing. So
So that's where we have an overlap. We deal with any disability. We don't discriminate. In order to qualify for those, it's a overlapping the people that we serve are the people that he serves as well.
But we did send Ernie Johnson, which is another local surfer, to Hawaii to compete there. So that's part of our mission as well.
And Kate.
Good deal.
And Kate.
Any other questions? Well, we thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And the next thing will be a report from the fire chief on.
Friday's festivities.
I do appreciate the time that Chief Hoffman has given me the extra time to talk about fire department stuff. It's a good partnership. Did you all know there was a fire at Neil and Pam's?
I heard a rumor about
I
that.
do appreciate the opportunity, so Mayor and Council and Mr. Shanahan, just to give all of you in the community an update, because I know that Neil and Pam's is an institution here at Surfside Beach. So on Friday, July the 22nd, the units were dispatched to a commercial structure fire near Neil and Pam's at 5 a.m. And when engine 56, the Surfside engine, arrived on the scene, we had fire showing in the porch, and there was fire in the roof line at we call it the Alpha Bravo corner. So basically the front of the structure and on the left side. So when the units got there, along with Horry County units, the decision was made to do an aggressive interior attack into the porch to put the fire out very quickly, because we knew it was going to spread very quickly in the area that it was in. So they did that, and they quickly got the fire out that was in the porch area. But Neil and Pam's have been renovated numerous times, as folks that have lived in Surfside Beach have probably seen. And there was actually 3 roofs. So the fire was put out quickly, but then we had to go into the mode of making sure that there was no fire in any of those void areas within those 3 different roof structures. So that was a little bit of a time-consuming and coordinated effort that we had to do. So as we went through that tactic, we were able to find all the areas where the fire was, and we was able to put the fire out. I will tell you, it was a coordinated effort with our automatic aid agreement with Horry County. Surfside Beach, as everyone knows, we have 1 unit that responded to that, along with myself and Deputy Chief Carter, and then the volunteers bought the tower later into the call. We could not have done it without an automatic aid agreement. They sent us units quickly, and we had that coordinated effort to be able to put that fire out. So I think that is very much worth mentioning, that automatic aid agreement worked flawlessly on this call, as it has done on many calls that we have ran here in Surfside Beach. So we were very fortunate. We were fortunate in the fact that there was a power wash company there at 5 a.m. getting ready to do some work that recognized the fire. They had some workers in there already. They saw the fire. They called 911. That dispatched us very quickly to the call, and we had a quick response there. I will tell you, I've been doing this a long time. 5 more minutes, we'd have been having a whole different discussion, because not only would Neil and Pam's have been involved, Bubba's Fish Shack would have been involved also. So that would have been a whole nother dynamic for that area. So I have to give all the credit, well, obviously to the workers that were there, but to the firefighters that were there, and the tactics that were done to put that fire out very, very quickly. In talking with our Fire Marshal Keith Williams, the preliminary investigation that he has done has shown that it was an air blower. So when you walked into Neil and Pam's, you'd walk through the outside and the inside. You notice those air curtains that would come down as you would enter inside, and that is a requirement. So what we believe happened through the investigation is one of those air handlers had some type of short, is what we believe. The motor caught fire inside that unit. So you had that fire that broke out of the unit into the structure and then went up into the roof. So that's how we believe the fire got started. So there is still some work going on with that to determine, but I feel very confident in what Fire Marshal Williams' preliminary investigation has shown. So I'm ready to answer any questions, but again, I do just want to say that there were a lot of things that went very well at 5 a.m. on that Friday to put that fire out. We had very little wind. So we kind of had some things in our favor, along with very good firefighters from Surfside Beach and from Horry County.
Mr. Mayor. Chief, I talked to Zach after this fire, and he said he was really appreciative of what y'all done. He said he responded really well. He said the only problem he had was the fireman was axe happy. He said they went in there chopping up things.
Well, I tell you, we love to tear stuff up.
Well, that's the way I got it from him.
I will tell
but
you,
he said that y'all done a great job, and he wanted to know y'all know that he knows that you've done a great job of saving what he got.
Oh, Mr. Stamey, I appreciate that, and I'll make sure that we did talk with Zach, and yes, there was a lot of obviously fire damage, smoke damage, but there was a lot of water damage. And the thing is, because of the roof and because we did not know where that fire had spread in all those different areas, we had to cut some holes. And then we ended up going back about hour. We ended up going back because there was still some smoldering. We thought we had it all out, which we did have it all out. You're going to see some of that after a fire, but we ended up going back just to double check because there was a little bit of smoke in behind some of the signage. But yes, sir, Mr. Stamey, we did put a few holes that were not there by the fire.
But he was just joking about it. He just was saying,
Yes,
guys, act happy.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I understood that Merle's Inlet came down and manned our station here.
And Mr. Holt, thank you for bringing that up. because I know that comes up. We did. As a matter of fact, Deputy Chief Carter requested that they fill our station. That is something that Larry and I keep a very close eye on to make sure that we try to fill Station 56 with another unit. When it's in the town of Surfside Beach, sometimes the station may not be filled because we are here to serve this community, and all of our units may be dumped to take care of what we need to take care of here. When we run into our contract areas, that is one thing that is always on my mind, and it's always on Deputy Chief Carter's mind to try to get our station filled. So that request was made, and Merle's Inlet came in and filled the station to serve this community. And they've done that numerous times. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I heard we had 2 calls while they were
We did.
here.
Yes, sir, we did, because we still have a community, to protect. We can only run one call at a time, but that is where our mutual aid agreement and our automatic aid agreement is just so important and crucial for a small town in a one-station department like this. I mean, we truly do work together. And the calls that I have ran since I've been the fire chief here have all, worked very well with our partnering agencies. So thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Holt.
Have all of the issues over in Deerfield with the closed roads and everything else, is that sort of settled down and manageable now?
I don't know how much, I can't really answer if it has settled down. I will tell you that we have reacted to that as far as what our response is going to be and how we respond into that area. Matter of fact, I rode through there on my golf cart the other day and it's open.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
It is open. So I'm not exactly sure if it's going to close again or exactly what's going on. I know that Horry County Chief Tanner, their operations chief, I know that that's been a topic of discussion. As soon as we found out about that, because we do serve in that area, that's one of our contract areas. And that is one thing that myself and Deputy Chief Carter made sure that we communicated out, because we had to change our response depending on what area of Deerfield that is in. So we have reacted to that. So has Horry County. But right now the road is still open from what I saw just last week.
I heard that it was. I heard that 80 residents got together and went and took it down.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I know it was open. I do know it's going to have an impact on response.
Sure.
So that is something that we're just going to have to keep in mind if we get dispatched into that area.
Mr. Mayor, any word on the SAFER grant?
No, sir. No word on the SAFER grant. I did check with the contractor about 2 weeks ago. I know that there was a preliminary review of the applicants, but there has been no word. We are thinking, Diane and I have been talking about this, we're thinking probably October. So what we are doing as far as the fire department is we're getting ready to advertise for those positions just to be able to get some applications in. So if we do get awarded the SAFER grant and council accepts that SAFER grant with those 4 positions, we'll be able to hire those 4 positions very quickly. We are advertising for ALS providers. You all were gracious enough through the budget process for us to be able to increase our service delivery to advanced life support. Captain Jeff Gore is in the process of getting equipment ordered, so we won't have it 100% of the time. I only have one captain that's a paramedic, but once every 3 shifts, we'll be able to respond into the town on our rescue engine with a paramedic and with the equipment to be able to handle advanced life support emergencies. So all of those things, hopefully with the SAFER grant, will continue to progress and get better as an organization and serve this community better.
Very good.
All right. Thank you very much.
Sir. Thank you, opportunity.
And next thing is the public comments. And these are public comments about town services. Oh, I'm sorry. Next is business, and these are parking recommendations. And are you going to present that?
Yes. Are we doing 2?
2.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 2 proposals that we'd like to bring before you. The first one is additional parking spots in the vicinity of 3rd Avenue South Ocean parking lot. Problem is currently there isn't enough parking slots at the parking lot located on 3rd Avenue South Ocean parking lot. Numerous beachgoers use the grassy area at the intersection of 3rd Avenue South and Dogwood Drive to park to go to the beach, which precludes people who want to use the pond deck to park there. And the reason is the parking lots get filled up very fast because of the beach area at the 3rd Avenue South is close to the pier area. New proposal, the right-of-way on the south side of 3rd Avenue South between Ocean Boulevard, Dogwood Drive is currently signed as a no parking area. Remove the no parking signs in this area and replace with pay to park signs will add additional parking spaces. Both the Public Works Director and myself went down there. We looked at this area. We saw that there was space. So there'd be no danger of people being in the road or anything like that. And so we don't see any issues with it. And so we would recommend approval on that one. Move on to the second one. Additional parking spots in the vicinity of 13th Avenue South Ocean parking lot. Problem, currently there isn't enough parking spots at the parking lot located at 13th Avenue South Ocean parking lot. Reason, again, the parking lot gets filled very fast because the beach area at 13th Avenue South is the main surfing location in Surfside Beach, and it's also popular because of the availability of the 2 restrooms there. New proposal, the right-of-way on the north side of 13th Avenue South between Ocean Boulevard and the street parking lot is currently signed as a no parking area. Remove the no parking signs in this area and replace with pay to park signs, which will add additional spaces. And again, the Public Works Director and myself went down there with the parking committee, and we looked at that and we felt that that would be a safe place to do it too.
Do we have a motion on that?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to, are we going to do them separately or together?
I'll do them. That's how you give me the motion.
Okay.
Together, we'll do it
Good
together.
point. Make a motion to approve both recommendations. The 3rd Avenue South Ocean parking lot, or beside the 3rd Avenue South between Dogwood and Ocean Boulevard to make it a pay to park. And the same for 13th Avenue South between Dogwood and Ocean Boulevard to make it pay to park.
Do I have a second on that? Second by Mr. Holder. Any discussion before we go any further on this?
Mr. Mayor, is Lanier on board with monitoring these places? Are they going to take care of the new parking spots along with what they've already got with no extra charge?
There is no extra charge, and they're already monitoring that area already because there's parking lots there.
So the answer is yes, they are going to take on this. Okay, thank you, sir.
Do you have a comment?
I have a comment. And I'll credit Diana with bringing it to my attention. We did look at it. Diana mentioned to me that 3rd Avenue South being a state road, we should probably speak to SCDOT before we authorize paid parking on that segment of 3rd South. So that particular item, you might not want to vote on tonight. But the others are town roads. Just putting that out there. We did not check with SCDOT.
So 13th South is ours.
Yes.
All right. 3rd South is state road.
DOT. We only took it over from Highway 17 to Poplar. The remainder of it down to the beach is all state. So it might be worth asking the question before we put paid parking there, because it may not be something that we can just do.
Well, that's a good point, and I appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
Diana brought it to my attention. I'll give her the credit.
Well, I thank Diane then for bringing it to our attention. Do you want to amend your motion?
Let's just start all over. Mr. Mayor, I'd
Yes,
like
sir.
to make a motion to approve parking along 13th Avenue South between Ocean Boulevard and Dogwood Drive, and make it a pay to park area instead of a no parking area.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion before we vote on it? Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Holder,
Yes.
Keating,
No,
Preclaw,
No.
Kinky,
Yes.
Drake,
No.
and I'm going to vote yes on that. So that does pass with a 4-3. All right. Last thing on the agenda is the council statements or council public comment, or give me a second. Let me get my agenda. All right, the next thing is the public comments, and these are public comments about town services and business conducted. Are there any public comments this evening? Okay. Next thing will be town council comments. We'll start out with Mr. Stanfield.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We've got a decent crowd. I'd like to see more. I would like to thank our police department for what they've done for the case that happened here in town. Our fire department has went beyond and above. They've worked tremendously. Listen, the town safety people are doing a great job. I cannot say nothing bad about them. Done a great job, guys. And beyond that, I'd like to see, all the town people does good, but these people have stepped up to really do a lot in the last month that I'm proud of. I'm proud to be a person of Surfside Beach. I'm just one of them, but I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to tell anybody that where I live and how good it is. And on that, I'll say good night.
Mr. Holder.
Yes, I'd like to thank our public safety, our police, and our fire department for the great job both of them do. But also, I would like to thank our public works and other parts of the town, because it's amazing how our town workers are out there every day and everything. This is a clean town. They really do a good job on our streets and everything else. And so we appreciate it. And also, I love seeing every house full, and we need that, and hope we can get Neil Pam back going, because we could that's some tax money we'll lose on that for a little while. So, but we need them back for one of our restaurants. So I want to thank you. Good night.
Ms. Keating.
I want to thank everybody for showing an interest in our town business and showing up at the meetings and participating through the live streaming or the audio. I think what we're seeing through the town and the town's operations is a real paradigm shift over the last couple years. We're getting much more into a customer service role in searching how can we get to the yes answer for our constituents, for our interested parties, for our stakeholders. We're getting much better at not saying, no, you can't do that and move on, but into getting to the yes. What do you have to do to get what you want or get what you need? Now, sometimes what you want may not be what you need, and we got to negotiate a little bit. But I think we're getting better at starting those conversations, and I think that's the improvements we're seeing with our police department, and and our fire department has clearly come a long way in their camaraderie and their teamwork and their interactions with our residents and our stakeholders in town. So, as the others, I commend Chief Clements and Chief Hoffman for doing that, but also Director Adair in Public Works. He's always had a great team, and I think they're being even more responsive and understanding the needs of the town, and maybe implementing a few creative solutions that we didn't previously have. The mayor brought up the last time that, we used to go to a specific nursery and get the baskets on Ocean Boulevard, and they weren't really of the quality that we really wanted to portray. And, the Public Works team got together and found a new solution, ended up with a great product, and I think it even saved us a few dollars. So, we've got people, and our other director, Adair, putting together the team in planning, building, and zoning, and really getting out and communicating with our stakeholders as to what the rules are and why they're there. Not just being that voice of naysayers. No, you can't do that. Here's your citation. They're getting out and getting those conversations going as to, well, you can't do that because of our ordinance stipulates this, that, or the other thing, but what you can do, get a little bit more creative about it and massage the project a little bit differently, and you get to the yes answer and you get what you need. So I think we're finally seeing that paradigm shift coming into the town operations. And from what I'm getting from some of the emails I receive and some of the private Facebook messages and other phone calls I receive, is we've got a lot of our residents and our local business owners really appreciating some of the efforts that the town is putting forward in a much more positive direction than they've seen in the past. So that helps with our reputation and with the actual quality of life that we all experience and why we love living here. So as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll be back in another couple weeks.
Mr. Clarklaw.
I'd like to thank all for coming out and taking an interest. I'd like to remind everybody that tomorrow is a workshop on the pier. All the principals will be here to answer questions and maybe explain when we might see a pier that looks like we can walk on it. I also would like to thank the fire department and the police department and our camera system for doing what needs to be done. Public Works, it's been hot out there, and those people are out working every day, so they deserve some recognition also. With that, I guess, good night.
Mr. Kinkin.
I join everybody else. I want to thank everybody for coming out and tuning in. Say the same thing about our safety groups, Public Works, our staff. We're really blessed to have good people working here. Diana keeps us straight money-wise, and we do appreciate that. It's just a good town to be in, and if you want to hear about the pier, I think it's 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Please come. I get questions all the time, so now's the time to come and listen. 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And everybody have a good night, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Mr. Drake.
I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in tonight and coming out here tonight and being with us. And I'd like to thank the staff and the Public Works and the fire department. Y'all did a great job with Neil and Pam's, and hopefully we don't have any more, but I know we will. That's a matter of time. But I'm glad to know that you're here to take care of it. And with the police department, with the camera system, I think that's very, very, very important. And we need it in our parks. We need it in our recreation areas, because all it takes is one time, and we can't afford that. And we're known as Family Beach, and we want to keep it that way. So great job with the cameras. And the Public Works, y'all do a great job. Said all night tonight. I appreciate what you do. You do a great job. So thank you very much, and y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Well, everybody's been giving appreciation to Public Works, the police, the fire, and the police and fire have been doing an excellent job on keeping the public informed on what's going on. I mean, I saw it on Facebook at 5 o'clock in the morning that's the time that they got it. It went immediately, and we're getting good information in a timely manner right now. The town administrator, Bill, and I have been talking about this, and shortly, probably within the next month or two, we are going to have an employee appreciation day. on where the residents can come out and actually talk to the employees. And, we'll get everybody together to have a little thing, and then maybe a little barbecue for the employees afterwards. And so look for that. It's coming. The other thing that we talked about is tomorrow is the peer committee meeting. Not peer committee meeting, the peer meeting with the stakeholders, just to give everybody an idea on where we are and what we stand and if we do have any issues or what's going on. Then Thursday, there is a citizen workshop that is being put on by Mr. Shanahan, where he will do that 6 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's 6 p.m. on Thursday. I don't know if you guys have been down to the Music at the Park on Sunday, but it's great. I mean, we get about 60, 70 people down there. So that's a good place to come and talk to your neighbors and walk around and, just have a good time and listen to the music. So we look forward to seeing you there too. I see our peers coming along real well. I know that with what we had at Neil and Pam's, that everybody's working aggressively to try to get them, back on their feet and everything goes. There's been a bunch of fundraisers, and they met today with our planning and zoning and trying to work out issues and how we're going to get them back together. So, all I say is please get involved. We've been doing a lot of good things. There's a lot of good stuff. You can see everything in the town is operating smoothly. So, you as residents can get involved in a little way. So I ask you to do that. So until we meet next time, I'll see you guys later. And with that, I need to mention too.
September the 7th will be the Employees Appreciation Day. Mr.
I
Shanahan
did not
just-
have the date, but it is September 7th. So with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.